Can I address that in my own way?
Look, I'm a man of 73.
Can I
don't know if I've got that much time.
If you don't have that much time, it's time to reflect and do introspection and come back to the worship of one God rather than three. I would say that. Do you believe in three gods or one God?
One God.
Okay. And is that Jesus?
Jesus is part of the Godhead.
So you believe God has parts and Jesus is one part of that Godhead?
Yes.
How much part? 33%?
Oh, good grief. Don't start going into mathematics.
But you said parts.
I'll say parts because what will your language accept?
You use the language that you want to use. No. I didn't say parts, you did.
Is God a mathematical conundrum?
You said parts, I didn't. So you believe in one God that has parts.
I'd have to say I'll stick with that.
Right. Each part, how much of God?
45, another 45,
sure.
Another 10.
How much of God is each part?
You're trying to keep on the mathematics.
Don't use mathematics, use the language.
Language? Wrong question.
No, it's not a wrong question.
Because equal parts.
No, the whole is not greater than its parts. Or is it?
The whole cannot be greater than the parts, but you...
The whole is always greater than the parts.
Are talking in
the whole is never equal to its parts. That tripod, this particular arm or leg of the tripod is not equal to the tripod.
But what about that leg? And what about that leg?
Less.
3 legs.
Less.
3 legs. 3 legs. 1, 2, 3.
The whole is greater than any of these legs.
If you take away one leg, it's not a tripod anymore.
When you take away one leg,
2 legs.
The whole is greater than the leg. Do you agree? The whole is greater than its parts.
If you take away one leg, the whole is useless.
So when Jesus died, all of the God died.
No.
Why not?
Come on, man.
Who died on the cross, God or man?
Jesus.
No.
Man.
So God didn't die.
God.
Right. Now I got it something interesting. So the one who paid the penalty was a human being, not God.
No.
Do you think it's possible for one human being to pay the penalty for every human being?
Not every human being.
Right. Was Jesus an ordinary human being or a superhuman?
He was, oh good grief. He was
he Superman or man?
He was man and
like
God.
You and me, right?
Man and God. No, because he was without sin.
No, he was born from the woman.
Yes.
And what happens if he's born from the woman? Everyone who's born from a woman is a sinner, according to the Bible. According to the Bible that you read, is a sinner.
But they had to come from Adam. Did Jesus come through the male line?
Which line did he come from?
He came from the female line and
right. Female line, right? So he came through the female line.
Yeah.
Wait.
He came through from Adam, but that's
so,
the female.
So why do you have two genealogies in the Bible?
Why not?
Are they both from the female?
No, one is from the female, one is through Joseph, the other is through...
But the man, Joseph, had nothing to do with Jesus Christ, biologically. Biologically. So he cannot have all the people within the genealogy, his fathers and forefathers. What a waste of space in writing the Gospels.
He'd got a special offer on him.
Really? So, Jesus, do you think he worshipped God?
He would talk with God.
Do you know what worship is?
Yes.
Give me an example of worship.
Standing back in awe at seeing a wonderful sunset.
And that's worship, is it too? What about prostration on the ground and saying, God help me? Was that worship? Is that being asking God?
It's a prayer.
And saying, God, to you I shall give thanks and glory. Is that worship?
I can pray like so.
No. If someone...
Lord God Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, I praise your holy name.
Does God...
Lord, come and lay your hand on these sinners. May they become aware of the love of Jesus Christ. May they become aware of your glory. May they become aware of your forgiving love. and your redemptive nature. Lord, I pray that when my turn comes to stand before the gates of glory, I will meet with these men. I will meet with these women. I will meet them, they will be there, and they will sing the praises of Jesus.
Okay. Can we stop the preaching mode and now we can talk back again?
I am not preaching, I am worshipping and praying. And
No,
do not get in the way of someone.
Sure.
You have sort of come into this path and you...
So there's a time for prayer. In a discussion, in the middle of a discussion, it is not really very wise to start praying when we're having a discussion. So now fine. No, I didn't ask you to start praying. I should give you an example. You could have just said that.
I gave you an example.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So do you believe God worships God?
You're talking about the words there.
No. Do you believe God has a God that he worships?
No, he's not Allah.
Do you believe God worships someone?
They talk with each other.
You see, my question is not do God talks with each other.
Your question is.
That's why you're deflecting.
Trying to show that Jesus is not God. And I am refusing to accept.
Did Jesus say that he had a God?
No.
Have you read the Bible?
He said, I and the Father are one.
One what?
One.
One what?
One.
One team?
No, one entity. Does that help you?
One entity, and it makes...
I have got to try and figure out words that you would understand.
Right.
This is a struggle.
So if it's one entity, does that make him God because he's one with the Father?
Jesus is God.
No. Jesus being one entity with the Father, are you saying that makes him God because of that?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. The second point, I'll come back to this point because
I knew you would. I thought I'm not going to get away with this.
Okay, you're not going to get away with it. Disciples, according to Jesus, he said, just as I and the Father are one, you the disciples will also be one with us. Yeah. So the disciples are one entity with God and they are all gods now.
No.
He said, just as I and the Father are one, you the disciples will also be one in that manner. So he did not say the oneness that he has with the disciples is any different than the oneness that he has with the Father. So if his oneness is the same oneness with his disciples, they are all one entity, and according to your own words, they are all gods. Hallelujah.
And what about Arsenal football team?
Okay, thank you for that deflection again.
Are they
so now,
did
Jesus say to Mary Magdalene, I go to my Father and your Father?
Yes.
Good, and carry on. And what else did he say?
You tell me.
I would like to hear from you.
Pardon?
Brother, please. No. I would like to hear from you directly. What else did he say?
He said many things.
No, that verse. Can you complete this verse for me? I go to my Father and your Father and...
No, you'll have to remind me.
Okay. In the Bible, do you know this verse? Which verse is it? I go to my Father and your Father?
Mark 13:32.
Mark.
He says Mark 13:32. Let's see if it is there. Can you have a check?
Matthew, Mark. You say that it's Mark. No, it's one of the post-resurrection saints, isn't it? Mark, it will be in the end verses. You'll have to excuse me. I've got my driving glasses on, not my reading glasses.
No problem. I can help you read if you can find it.
Do you know any closer? Mark 16.
Is it that?
Mark 13. Is that right? The destruction of the temple?
This is not it. I'm talking about a situation where he says, I go to my Father and your Father. I would like you to read it directly, because there's a reason why I'm saying that.
For Pilate, burial of Jesus, Jesus is written. Oh, there, you get that in verse 16. Do not touch me, for I am going to my Father.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you read that, please? We found it.
I hope you'll excuse me while I go into reading.
Yep. Just only the relevant parts, please.
Sure it's Matthew? Or are you trying to pull out a portion which wasn't in early manuscript?
No, it's there in your Bible.
Don't be alarmed, he said, you're looking for Jesus of Nazareth who was crucified. He has risen. He is not
Ask
here.
Nazam or Hashim, he will tell you straight away. Because I don't memorize these verses anymore. Right.
But go tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you. That's not the verse you wanted, is
Of
it?
course not.
No, you don't want to accept it, he wrote.
I want you to read the verse in which he's speaking to Mary Magdalene. He says, don't touch me yet, for I have not yet ascended to my Father.
Yeah.
But go and tell my brothers,
Now that-
my brethren, that I'm going to my Father and your Father.
Yeah.
So I've given you almost
Find
half
that.
the quote. Can you ask Nazam, there in the green jacket and black cap, can you ask this brother to come over?
Turn around and say, all that crucifixion that I was saying I was reading, exactly what.
So we have a brother who's a walking encyclopedia, and Nazam can tell me straight away and refresh my memory, and yours too. Assalamu alaikum. Just need a quick reference. I go to my father and your father.
20, 17 and 18.
Okay? John 20, 17 or 18. Jazakallah khairan.
Thank you.
It's a roundabout.
It's around about there. Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it be easier if there was only one gospel?
Yeah, why do you have four?
Because we have four witnesses. If you go into a court, get all your witnesses together. John 20.
Yeah. John 17.
John
17.
17.
Verse 17 or 18.
I've got John 12, 13,
Yeah.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Chapter 20.
John chapter 20, 17.
17, 27.
Chapter 20. Chapter 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, verse 17.
Yeah.
Jesus said,
Thank you.
this is
Jazakallah
after
khairan.
he'd come out of the tomb.
Yeah, without an explanation, let's read it.
Jesus said, do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am going to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God.
To my what?
God,
So Jesus says he has a God he's going to.
whoa, how many words are in this Bible? How many words are in this Bible?
Did we just
How
read?
many words are in this Bible? And you find in one place that he says, to my God and your God. To my
I am
authority and
I am
your
referring to a statement which
And you
you
are
see.
going to stake your everlasting
Shall I
life
tell you
on that?
something?
Probably not, but
One bullet is enough rather than several bullets. Do you agree? This is a bullet statement in your Bible, in which Jesus says
whenever the assassin shoots his pistol, he does not use what do you
one
know
is enough.
about? One is not
One is enough.
You always
A
use
good
three.
shooter needs only one. So
Good
now
assassin
you have
always use 3 bullets at least.
now Jesus saying, "I'm going to my God."
Yeah, he's identifying.
So Jesus has a God.
So he says, no, not a God. If you say Jesus is a God,
Jesus
you are
has
getting into
his
heresy.
own God.
No. Jesus
What does my God
is
mean?
My God, my dad, my coat.
Yeah, what does it mean, my
It
God?
belongs to me. It is of me. It is under my own.
When you say my God, is you and your God the same?
I'm not God.
Now, if you said it,
I wouldn't say it.
right. So my God,
Jesus can say it.
and what did Jesus say? My God and your God.
Yes.
That means the God, your God and his God is the
I'm
same.
not giving that an equivalent.
He is making that equivalence.
Have you noticed whenever we argue,
Do you
it
know?
is because of
Do you know
your
you disagree with Jesus so much?
problems?
No, why do you
because
disagree with
of
Jesus
your-
so much?
I don't disagree with
Because
you.
Jesus is saying, Jesus is making them equivalent. He says, Jesus is saying, my God and your God, my Father and your Father. The sonship or the fathership, Jesus is saying, is the same. The Godship is the same. So he says he has a God that he's going to. God has a God.
No, the Son and the Spirit and the Father are all part of God. Are you running out?
If Jesus says, I am going to my God,
Yeah.
so he has a God by his own statement.
No, you are putting on that word an emphasis of ownership. My God, my car, my coat, my...
So my God, when Jesus says my God, what did he mean?
He's identifying with Mary and saying, this is ours.
Our what? Our what?
Mary,
Our what?
God.
Right. So Jesus is saying, like Mary, like Jesus, they equally have a God.
He identified with humankind
No, he has a God, he's saying simply. If in your...
to blow my nose.
Take your time. No issues.
Switch off the sound, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank
Right.
you.
So we found one statement which you think is ambiguous. Fine. Is there anywhere else in the New Testament Jesus identifies who the true God is? In his own words. In his own words.
Well, when I look through it, I find him identifying himself with God.
Like where?
Well, goodness me, you know John 1.
No, he doesn't identify him with God. He says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Was God.
So let's have a demonstration to illustrate to you what it means.
Oh no.
Do you know? Have a look at me and I'll show you.
I'm going
In the
to get
beginning-
my glasses.
Yeah. In the beginning was the Word. Imagine that's the Word. And the Word was with who? With God. And the Word was God. So how many gods do we have so far? 2 gods.
No, you-
According to John, the Word which was God was with God.
I think
That's 2 gods.
This is a silly thing.
No, this is how you read the text. In the beginning there was 2 gods. One God called the Word, who was with another God.
No, if you say other God, in the beginning was the Word was with God.
And the Word was what?
Connected.
The Word was?
God,
The Word which was God was with who?
God,
So how many gods is it then?
one.
No. The Word,
How many fingers? How many fingers?
in the beginning
How many
was,
fingers?
in the-
How many fingers?
how many fingers?
How many fingers?
3.
How many hands? How many hands?
1 hand.
1 hand, 3 fingers.
Is that what it
Persons,
says?
3 persons.
Okay, let me understand something. Is
Don't
1
look at
finger
that
God?
one, that's it.
Is 1 finger, how much of God was 1 finger?
Well,
How much
have
of
a- have
how
a
much
look
of
at-
the hand is 1 finger?
Have a look at that finger.
Now, how much of hand is the 1 finger?
I'm going to use.
Not 100%, is it? Not fully
Let me
hand.
put these on.
So Jesus is a finger in a hand. So he's not God. He's only a little bit of the hand, a little bit of God. Is that what you're saying?
You're being silly and taking the conclusion. What's that?
It's a finger.
How many parts?
1.
No. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Visible. There are others down here.
Sure.
There are 3
And-
parts to the finger.
And yeah. He's only 70. Don't worry.
Tactical, you know.
Yeah, of course. He's showing to himself, isn't it?
I'm trying to explain something. Do forgive me if I slip into the vernacular.
You have. So anyway. So let's come back to it. So when we have Jesus Christ,
Figure, but it's got a sticky plaster on it.
how much of a part of it in relation to the whole finger?
God is not a mathematical being. God is the creator of mathematics.
So why do you confuse him then?
I don't confuse.
Why do you say
You're
God
the
has
one-
parts?
you're the
Why
one-
do you say God, Jesus is God, but he's not fully God, he's a part of God? A part means he's not full. Do you agree?
But he's an essential.
No, hang on. Do you agree a part is not full?
If I take that leg away, is that a tripod?
No, it's a broken tripod. It's not a tripod, it's a dipod or a bipod. Do you consider part means full? By language, not mathematics. In language, do you think part, do you mean part means full?
No, but it's part of the full.
So part is not a full.
But it's part of the full.
Sure, because it's not a full, and God has to be a fully God, and Jesus is part God, so he's not God.
But this is your argument, which I would not accept.
Listen, in your heart,
you can tell him it a little.
In your mind, you do realize the logic that you have.
You tell me what I realize.
No. As you realize.
Do you know what goes on in this mind? What do you know? What I am thinking?
I don't know. But what is easy for me to understand. Yeah, but
I have to keep the hat on to keep the thoughts outside.
Sure. So, according to language itself, Jesus being part of God cannot be God because God is full. So you now admit Jesus is not fully God because he's part God.
If I look up tonight and I look at the moon, what will I see?
So when we talk about God,
look at the moon tonight, what will I see?
You will see what we call a roti when you're hungry.
What's a roti?
Bread, flat bread. If you're hungry, you look at the moon and see flat bread. But the fact of the matter is, your assumption while you're hungry has nothing to do with the reality of the moon. Likewise, if you assume Jesus to be God, it doesn't help him to be God. Because Jesus, in your own admission,
that you cannot understand my illustration because of your concerns about food.
Do you know Jesus identified who the true God is? I'm going to keep off the suspense now. I'm going to bring the reality in. He actually identified who the true God is in his own words.
Go on.
Do you know about it?
Go on.
Do you know about it?
What this clever. I love seeing acrobats.
Do you know about it?
Tell me your acrobatic skill.
I don't play acrobats. I put things in context. You don't. I told you that when he says, I am the Father of one, I gave you the context. The context, he says, just as I am the Father of one, you the disciples also be one. So this was the context. But you Christians, unfortunately, do not read the context. So I will put things in context. When Jesus said in John again, he says,
wait for it.
He says,
wait for it.
About the Father,
socks.
About the Father, you are the only true God.
Yes.
And who did he say the only true God is? To who?
To God.
No.
Who did he say it to?
To Father. How many persons is the Father?
How can God have a son?
I will tell you in a moment.
God cannot have a son.
I'll tell you in a moment.
Sorry, I'm detracting.
You're deflecting, like you were trying to, without any success so far.
Because your pride and arrogance would not allow it.
The Father in the Trinity is how many person?
The Father is what?
One person. So according to Jesus, since the Father is the only true God, and the Father is one person, let me finish. According to Jesus, the Father is the only true God, and the Father, as you identified, is one person. So according to Jesus, how many person is the only true God?
The only true God would have to be the three.
And how many person according to Jesus?
You tell me.
One.
There is the Father.